energy is about to be lit AF, astrologically speaking. March of 2023 has been on my radar for quite some time as a relational astrologer. I know that the energy we're about to walk into March with is going to be dramatically different to the energy we're going to experience that we walk out of March. So we're going to talk all about that in this video. We are going to break it down date by date, planet by planet, things that you need to know and need to understand as we lead into the month of March. So you're going to want to buckle up, grab a pen and paper. If you have your 2023 Astrology Retrograde Journal, make sure you grab that as well. Open to page 23, which is the month of March, with your astro calendar on there as well to take notes on. We are going to go through the calendar date by date, but before we do that, I'm going to kind of let you know what the planets are up to as we move into the month of March. We have 7 of our life coach planets moving into new zodiac signs. That is 7 energy shifts in one short month. And some of these planets have not moved in a very, very long time. And some of us have never even been alive when some of these planets are going to be in their new zodiac signs. So we don't even personally know what this energy is going to feel like. So with that being said, let's first break down the energy that you need to understand as we move into the month of March. First things first, you need to know where Aries is in your birth chart. So if you know your rising sign, I want you to pause this video, go to the description box below, and I will list out the area of life that Aries rules for you. Now, the reason that that is important is because Aries in the sky, that is getting so much attention for the next 5 to 7 years. You can see here from this chart that we already have planets in this zodiac energy. And that is going to continue, like I said, for the next 5 to 7 years. Major transits, major attention. This area of your life is going to keep coming up over and over and over again. And it's really going to start peaking and highlighting and getting more active in the month of March. So make sure as you're watching this video that you know where Aries falls in your birth chart. Now, if you do not know your rising sign, that's okay. You're going to go with your sun sign. And your rising sign you can find by looking up rising sign calculator on Google, putting in your birth date, place, and time. Okay, so starting out with that, I am going to make a separate video just on Aries energy and what planets and what dates and everything you need to know about this 5 to 7 year cycle. But for the sake of this video, just know where Aries falls in what area of your life. The second thing we need to know as we move into the month of March is the fact that we are currently in Pisces season. What that means is that the sun is currently in the zodiac sign of Pisces. Now, if you have, again, your astrology journal, you're going to see that on page 20, we talk about Pisces season and what that means. Now, every time that the sun is in a certain zodiac sign, I want you to remember the sun brings heat, life, vitality, and it is like a spotlight shining down and radiating that zodiac energy upon us. So we're all going to feel that for that sun season month. Now, with the sun being in Pisces, you can see here it's the 12th and final zodiac sign, meaning as we move into March, we are in the last chapter. We are in preparation of the Astrological New Year, which begins in March. So right now, as we move into March until March 20th, we are going to be like Pisces energy, cleansing, releasing, letting go, forgiving, closing out chapters, working on things behind the scenes in our lives that we know we have to wrap up or finish or complete. Pisces is a sensitive water energy. It's very empathic, very emotional. During Pisces season, we are more prone to crying, happy tears, sad tears, all the tears, feeling all the things. So if you are walking into March with this energy, feeling a little depressed, a little defeated, maybe you're doing some self-sabotage behaviors, that is all understandable because the sun is in Pisces. Now, when we leave March, the sun will be in Aries. Again, the zodiac sign, I'm telling you, that's going to have so much energy and attention already, but more so in March and then leading on for the next couple years. So again, Aries is opposite. It goes first. Aries is the zodiac sign of what I like to call the toddler under 7. So we need to understand that anytime a planet moves into Aries and out of Pisces, and we have a lot of planets already in Pisces that are going to make this shift. And whenever a planet leaves Pisces and moves into Aries, it starts over energetically. It is a new cycle. It is a new chapter because Aries is bold, brave, fearless, risk-taking. It goes first. It has a leadership energy. It looks at its own wants, needs, and desires. And just like a toddler under 7, it can be a little selfish. And so we are going to start feeling that energy in that Aries area of our life. again, why it's important to know your rising sign and where Aries falls in your life. Okay, so just understanding that we're going to shift energies from Pisces into Aries by the end of the month. The third thing that's very important for us to understand as we move into the month of March is that we have two major planets that are making moves in the month of March at their last final degree point of the zodiac sign that they're about to leave. Now, what does that mean? When a planet is at the final degree of any zodiac sign, which is the 29th degree. See, remember, every zodiac sign has only 30 degrees, 0 to 29, and then they start over at 0 again, because 0 is 30, okay? So when a planet gets to 29 degrees, it is the final degree, the final lesson, the final opportunity for that life coach to make a mark, to teach us a lesson before it shifts and changes into a new energy. And as we move into March, we have two of these life coach planets at the 29th degree, the aneteric degree. And that is Saturn, tough love dad Saturn. So Saturn teaches us lessons through obstacles, challenges, growth opportunities, limitations, all the hard stuff that he tries to teach us. He's going to do it the most when he's at his aneteric degree because he's about to leave and he won't be back for 30 years. So he's going to go out with a bang, and that's what we're feeling as we move into March. We also have Pluto at the aneteric degree of Capricorn. Pluto has been in Capricorn for 15 years, and so him parking at the 29th degree lasts for a couple weeks, and he also is going to go out with a bang. Now, he will return to this degree point in a retrograde later in the year. You will see that again in your retrograde journal. But just knowing that Pluto is the god of the underworld, he brings the darkness to light, he brings the skeletons out of the closet, and then Saturn is our tough love dad, both challenging energies at their aneteric degree, moving into the month of March, getting ready for both of them to move into new energies is super, super powerful. So again, we're starting out the month with these two challenging planets at a challenging degree point, but by the time we get to the end of March, they're going to be in a brand new energy, a shift and a change that some of us have never ever even experienced before in this lifetime. And we'll talk more about that in just a moment. So just understand that energy. And lastly, and most importantly, what we need to understand about the month of March is that we have 7 planets moving into new zodiac energies. Like I mentioned earlier, 7 new shifts of energy to be welcomed in just 31 short days. So again, a very powerful difference between the beginning and the end of the month. Now let's break down each planet one by one so we can understand who is making moves this month and into where. First things first, the sun is currently in Pisces. So let's break down what those planets are. First things first, this month, the sun will leave Pisces and move into Aries on March 20th. That is what we call the Astrological New Year. So on March 20th, Astrological New Year begins and the sun moves into the energy of Aries. Starting over, fresh new beginnings, bringing more fire, heat, passion, boldness, all the Aries energy. Then for the moon, we have 2 lunations this month. The first one is the full moon in Virgo, which will be happening on March 7th, a very important date in the astrology, because you'll hear in just one more second that full moon happens on the exact same day that another life coach makes a move. Now, that is going to be on March 7th. When we get to March 20th, remember what I just said? What is March 20th? Oh, the Astrological New Year? Yeah, that is also going to be the day that we have a new moon in the zodiac sign of Aries. So on the Astrological New Year, we have a new moon in Aries. This makes the Astrological New Year of 2023 a very unique and special day. So again, you can see why Aries is a very important place that you need to know in your birth chart. So we're going to come back to that. So just remember, we have a full moon on March 7th, and we have a new moon on March 20th, 21st is the technical new moon, okay? Now we're moving on to Mercury. Mercury, as we start out the month, is in the zodiac sign of Aquarius, an air sign where he enjoys being. Aquarius is all about being the futuristic, problem-solving, intelligent, thinking ahead. It's a very intellectual, genius-like energy. But this month, Mercury is going to move into 2 zodiac signs. He really hustles and makes moves this month. So we move into March with him being in Aquarius. On the 2nd, Mercury is going to move into Pisces. And then on the 19th, he's going to move into the zodiac sign of Aries, joining the Aries party, okay? So we start out the month with Mercury in Aquarius. By the end of the month, he has hustled his way all the way to Aries. Then we talk about life coach Venus. Starting out the month, Venus is already in the zodiac sign of Aries. Now, she is going to begin her month with a conjunction with Jupiter, so we will talk about that when I go date by date, but knowing that she's starting out in Aries, helping this opening act, the first chapter of this Aries energy that's going to last 5 to 7 years, at the beginning of March, but by the middle of the month, on the 16th, she is going to move into her home sign of Taurus. So Venus starts out the month in Aries, where she doesn't particularly like to be, and she ends the month at home in Taurus. Now, it has been many, many years since Venus has been happy at home in Taurus. I've talked about this before in the astrology, but this year it's a little bit easier for her. So that's a big shift in our Venus love, Venus, our money, Venus and what we value, Venus and what brings us pleasure. So moving from Aries, where she doesn't like to be, into Taurus, where she's at home. A big shift of energy as well. Then we talk about Mars. We have been talking about Mars and Gemini since August of 2022. Like literally, I think all of us are done and sick with Mars and Gemini because Mars typically moves very fast. Remembering, he's the masculine, left lane, gas pedal, doing the most, 6 weeks in a sign. But now he ran into Gemini in August of 2022, and he has been stuck there for almost 7 months. And in the month of March, he finally leaves this energy, finally wraps up all the lessons he's had to teach us in this area of our life, and he's going to move on the 25th into the zodiac sign of Cancer. Totally different energy, where Mars has been in the twins of Gemini, doing this and that, and multitasking and thinking and researching and communicating and all this anxious OCD mind activity, to Cancer, the water energy, where Mars doesn't particularly like to be, but it cools him off, it chills him out. And it kind of feels like we're swimming against the tide, but it also feels a little peaceful, okay? So again, a major energy shift for Mars. Then we move on to Jupiter. Now Jupiter isn't moving this month, but he is in the zodiac sign of Aries. He starts out the month on the 1st, meeting up with Venus, the other benefic, and it's a beautiful energy. We'll talk about that again in just a moment. But by the middle of the month, he's going to run into Chiron, the wound, the healer. And at the end of the month, he's getting ready to make moves to leave Aries. So for the entire month, Jupiter is kind of our constant, and he's going to be kind of the middleman as all these other planets come in and out of Aries. So then we move on to Saturn. Saturn is a big, big change this month because Saturn has been in Aquarius since December of 2020. 2.5 years we have been putting up with Saturn shit in Aquarius, and I think I speak for the most of us when we all say we're over it. Literally over Saturn teaching us lessons in the Aquarius area of our life. Because Saturn's been in a fight with Uranus, Saturn's in his full power when he's in Aquarius. Saturn rules Aquarius and he rules Capricorn. Since 2018, he's been in his home signs, leading a very powerful lesson learning opportunity for us. So we've been challenged, we've been struggling, we've been learning, we've been growing, we've been maturing, we've been making more commitments. Like, it's been a struggle. And this month, after 2.5 years of being in Aquarius, Saturn's moving into Pisces, where he has not been in 30 years. So if you are under the age of, let's say, 27, you've never experienced this energy before, and some of you are about to go into your Saturn return. I have a separate video talking all about Saturn in Pisces, really breaking down what we can expect over the next 3 years and what lessons he's going to teach us and how we can kind of get a head start on that in a separate video here on YouTube, so you can watch that after this one. But know for the month of March, this is a major change. Starting out the month with Saturn at that 29th degree of Aquarius, where he's really comfortable and we're kind of getting used to that energy, even though we hate it, to the end of March, where he's going to be at the beginning of Pisces. Very, very different energy, where he's not in his full power. He's actually a little debilitated when he's in Pisces, and he can't teach us as challenging of lessons as he's been able to do so in the last 6 years. Major energetic shift for all of us. Now then we move on to Uranus. Uranus doesn't make any moves this month. It's very minor, just a couple degree points. He's still in Taurus with the North Node of Destiny. That is still wrapping up, so we're gonna have eclipses again in this area. Uranus is staying in Taurus. Those are the same from the beginning to the end of the month. Then we move on to Neptune. Neptune is in Pisces. He does not make any moves this year or next year. So he's kind of the constant in the Pisces area of life. But also, I talk about in the Saturn video, Saturn will eventually be meeting up with Neptune. Now, they meet up officially in 2026 in the zodiac sign of Aries, which hasn't happened in like centuries. So that's going to be really interesting. That's going to be, again, adding to that Aries energy I talked about that's lasting for 5 to 7 years. So just a little preview for you. And again, I'm going to talk about all of that Aries stuff in the timeline in a separate video. So that's Neptune. And then lastly, we have Pluto, life coach Pluto, who is making one of the most major shifts energetically this month. Because like I said, starting out March, Pluto is at the aneteric degree of Capricorn. Pluto has been in Capricorn for 15 years. So we've all been dealing with Pluto, god of the underworld, who rules over things like power, control, manipulation, our ego, like bringing darkness and things that are corrupt in our lives and in society to the light for us to see and to deal with and to transform. We've been doing that for 15 years in Capricorn, which rules government, institutions, things with rules, things with structure, authorities. Pluto's been like really kind of bringing the darkness to light in that area. And this month, he moves into the zodiac sign of Aquarius, where he has not been since 1777. So there is not one person alive right now who knows what Pluto in Aquarius actually feels like. And even as astrologers, we can understand what Aquarius energy is, and we can understand what Pluto rules over. And so we can kind of put them together to understand what this may be like, and we can look back to 1777, but we're not really going to know exactly what that's going to feel like energetically until it happens. So that's a major shift, and that's happening on March 23rd. So lots of shifts and lots of changes this month. And with that, I hope you can see why I was saying that March of 2023 has been on my radar for a while, because it's such a major energetic shift. So now let's go ahead and break it down date by date, get a little bit more specific in understanding what these energies are, and as these shifts takes place, what you can kind of anticipate, expect, and how you can work with this energy. So I'm going to reset this here. We're going to start over at the 1st of March. Okay, so here we go. We are starting out with March 1st. March 1st and March 2nd in astrology is what we're calling the luckiest day of the year. And it's not because it's March 1st and March 2nd, it's because Venus and Jupiter are meeting up in the sky. Venus and Jupiter in astrology are what we call the benefics, the beautiful planets. Venus being the feminine, she attracts things, she rules over all the things in our life that we find beautiful and pleasurable, like our money, our relationships, our creativity, the arts and entertainment. And then you have Jupiter, which is like all about expansion, growth, blessing, opportunity, prosperity, abundance. And you get those energies together, and that just brings a lot of magnetism, a lot of opportunity, a lot of magic. And so that's happening in the zodiac sign of Aries. Now, this lucky conjunction of Venus and Jupiter in Aries has not happened in over 12 years. So they meet up typically once a year in different zodiac signs. Last time it was in Pisces. So this, again, why I said at the beginning of this video, why it's so important to understand what area of your life Aries rules, because that's where the luckiest day of the year energy is happening in your life. So know that we start out the month with this energy. At the same time though, however, we are feeling blessed and lucky and opportunistic and magnetized in the Aries area of your life, but we are also feeling on the other side in the Aquarius area of our life a little challenged. And the reason for that is because on the 2nd of March, we have Mercury running into Saturn in Aquarius at his aneteric degree. Remembering that when Saturn's at the last degree of any sign, he's teaching us those hardest final lessons because he won't be back for 30 years. And now Mercury gets involved. Mercury being our mind, Mercury being the messenger, being our thoughts and our words that we speak, and Saturn being the disciplinarian, so taking responsibility for your words, making more commitments, being more cautious, being more accountable for what you think and how you speak. And so we might be learning some lessons around this time, or being challenged to hold ourselves accountable for the commitments we make, the things that we say to people, the language we're using, the promises we've made and now we're going to have to uphold. And so just be cautious around on the 2nd, what you say, how you say it, and what you're promising or committing to, because Saturn is gonna hold you to it. So be cautious with that energy. But then right after Mercury runs into Saturn and we have to take accountability of something we said, or maybe there's an announcement to us about something, some lesson, something someone tells us that we have to take responsibility for. Right after that happens, on the 2nd, Mercury dips out and moves into the zodiac sign of Pisces, where we can see here we're starting to get this pile up of energy in Pisces. So like I said, the sun is already here, so the sun is highlighting and shining a spotlight upon Pisces energy, which I call the Jesus-like energy. It's being compassionate, empathic, forgiving, loving, understanding. But it's also very energetically sensitive, so we can feel more heightened emotions, more heightened sensitivities to environments, people, places, things. We are moving into March with that energy, remember. And now Mercury, our mind, goes there as well. So now our mind is more sensitive. We're being more empathic. We're more intuitive. Like, we're recognizing that our thoughts are related to maybe our higher selves or our connection with our spirit guides. Like, we're starting to connect the mind with the ethereal energy. So this is a very kind of cool energy to work with, but it's just bringing more attention to us being more emotional, wanting to cry. So be very careful that your own mind and the information you're getting isn't always hitting your emotional core, because we are just more sensitive right now. So be careful what you're reading, what you're listening to, what you're absorbing mentally, because it's going to affect you emotionally. Then we move on to the 7th. We have a couple days of a break in here, and we move on to March 7th, a very, very important date of the month, because we have 2 major astrological events happening on that same day. So on that date, the sun is in Pisces, of course, because it's Pisces season, and the moon has moved into Virgo, directly opposite the sun, making it a full moon. Now, what's a full moon again? It is a peak, it is a culmination, it's a point of releasing and of letting go. And this is going to be our opportunity to let something go. It's our final chance to let go of something on this Pisces Virgo area of our life, because on that exact same day as the moon is full in the sky, the sun is highlighting the moon, Saturn makes his move into Pisces, where he has not been again in 30 years. So he's kind of saying, hey, I'm moving into Pisces. I'm about to teach you all these lessons in Pisces for the next 3 years. So I'm going to give you one final opportunity to get your act together, to let go and release something that is blocking you, that's preventing you, before I come in and have to start teaching you a bunch of lessons. I'm going to break that down even more in the full moon in Virgo video coming out in just a couple days. But know that that's a very important full moon. And if you have your Astrology Retrograde Journal, you can already preview what that means on page 24, and make sure you fill out your journal prompts and do that moon ritual, because it's very important. Saturn's stepping in. But the big thing we need to know about Virgo is it's about our physical body. It's about our habits, our routines. Pisces is about self-sabotage and limiting beliefs and our mental health. So there's something we have to release here, that we are self-sabotaging. We are doing something that is blocking us, and we have to Saturn take accountability, be responsible, do the right thing, create more discipline, more commitment in our area of life, of our physical health and our day-to-day routines. Again, we're going to break that all down later, but March 7th, very important day to recognize this month, a major, major shift. Then from there, we kind of move into the middle of the month. That energy is going to be a lot already, and we're going to get about 1 week of a break. That's going to lead us to the middle of the month, the 15th, 16th, 17th, where things get a little messy, a little chaotic. Like, we're about to leave Pisces season at that point, and like I said, Pisces is about cleansing, purging, releasing, letting go. We're going to feel very sensitive, very heightened, and it's going to be the energy of a slingshot being pulled way back. We're going to feel like we're behind, things aren't working out, maybe things are being stripped away from us. That is very Pisces, like things are taken, things are closed out, chapters ending. Like, it's going to feel like there is a bunch of space in our life and we don't know how to fill it. The slingshot will be pulled way back. And then when we get to the Astrological New Year on the 20th, we are going to launch forward. Like, we are going to fill that space that is left in the middle of the month with all the things that we desire as we get selfish in Aries season. So let's break it down. Starting on the 15th, the sun runs into Neptune at 25 degrees of Pisces. So you're going to want to check your chart to see if you have any planets around 25 degrees of Pisces and 25 degrees of Gemini. And we'll talk about that in just a second. But remember this, the sun is going to run into Neptune. At about that exact same time, Mercury joins that party. So now you have the Sun and Mercury and Neptune all conjunct at 25 degrees of Pisces. But over here in the sky, you have Mars rushing to get out of Gemini. Remember, he's been here since August of 2022. He does not like to stay in a zodiac sign for more than 6 weeks. So he's masculine, left lane, gas pedal, on to the next thing, doing the most. And so when he's been in a zodiac sign for 7 months and he's on a fast forward track to get the hell out of there, he is speeding in the left lane. And he is irritable, he's anxious, he's exhausted, he's over it. We're just ready for something new. And since Mars represents our chi and our stamina, he's like, I'm ready to be done with this. And so he's at 25 degrees of Gemini, ready to make moves. So 25 degrees of Gemini to 25 degrees of Pisces is a square. And anytime astrologically we have planets in squares, it is tension points. They are in two opposing energies that don't usually get along very well. Pisces being watery and emotional, empathic and sensitive and compassionate. And Gemini, which is like the twins, like wanting it all, very curious, exploring all the things, very focused on the mind, very, intellectual. The heart and the mind disconnect is really what's going on here. And so you have the Sun in a square with Mars, you have Mercury in a square with Mars, and you have Neptune in a square with Mars. All of these three planets are side by side, and they're all in a square with Mars at the exact same time. The masculine, the warrior, the fighter, the one who's trying to make decisions and get things done for once because he's been retrograde for so long. So what does that mean for us? Well, Mars and Neptune, this is their third time of meeting up in a square. Because remembering, Mars went retrograde, so he's crossed over this point before, ran into a square with Neptune. Then he retrograded, again, backed up into that conversation with Neptune. And now Mars is fast forward, getting out of Gemini and cruising back through, having that final conversation with Neptune. Mars in Gemini is the researcher. He's making decisions, using the mind because it's Gemini, which is curious, it's exploring, it's having conversations. But Neptune's the planet of fantasy and illusion, of deception, of secrets, of wearing rose-colored glasses. And so we've already had an area of our life where maybe we've been like, I gotta get to the bottom of this. I gotta figure out the truth. I gotta figure out what's going on here. And then we retrograded back and revisited something. And we were like, that didn't make sense to me. I wanna see it clearer. Like, let me go reinvestigate. Let me get to the bottom of it. And now this is the final square, the final conversation, the final breaking point where some truth is gonna come to light in our life. We're gonna see it clearly once and for all, and Mars is gonna make us make a decision. Make us take action on that information that you didn't have the first time Mars had a conversation with Neptune back in the fall. And so there's gonna be a topic in your life that's come up and you're now getting more information that you didn't have back in the fall, and now you're ready to make a decision. Now you're ready to move forward. And because it's in Pisces, again, that energy, the pile up, is about cleansing, purging, releasing, letting go, probably forgiving, closing out a chapter. And so now you have more information than you did before, and now you got to do something about it. And it's probably going to be something you got to end or release or let go. So that's a major energy in the middle of the month that we're going to experience. Now, also remembering that anytime the Sun runs into Mercury, it's what we call a Mercury cazimi. So our mind, Mercury, our thoughts, Mercury, our spoken language, our conversations, Mercury. Whenever it meets up with the Sun is hot, the Sun is fiery. So be very careful with the way that you're speaking and the way that you're communicating, because it can come out fiery and spicy. In mythology, Mercury, the messenger with the wings on his feet, was always told by his father to never fly too close to the Sun or he'll burn up and die. And so if you were born with a Mercury cazimi, meaning your Mercury in your birth chart is very close to your Sun in your birth chart, you were born with this energy, and you have a way with words where they come out a little hot, a little spicy. And so that could be something that's going on that day, on the 15th, 16th. What's gonna make it more intense is that it's in a square with Mars, the warrior, the fighter, and there's some sort of Neptune secret or illusion or fantasy that's brought to light that's going to make you even more fiery with your mouth, even more volatile, and you're gonna be using fighting words, Mars. So it's just a lot. It's just a lot on that day. Be very, very careful. I'm looking at my notes. So if I'm not looking at the screen, it's because I'm looking at my notes. There is so much for me to remember here. So just bear with me with that. So then what's kind of the savior in all of that 15th, 16th, 17th energy that's going on over here is that Venus moves out of, like I said, Aries, where she doesn't particularly like to be, and she moves into her home sign of Taurus on the 16th. So that's kind of the saving energy. Remembering Venus is the planet of our love, our relationships, our creativity, what brings us pleasure, what brings us joy, like what makes us feel good. And wherever she is in the sky is going to be the way in which we love or we want to be loved or the attention that we're giving to things. And as she's in Aries, she was in Mars's home sign. Mars rules Aries. And so like I mentioned in my previous videos, when Venus is in Aries, she's like a feminine and a masculine energy. And so this is where she becomes like a boss bitch. Like she's out there doing the most. She is kicking ass, taking names, like entrepreneur, loving herself, making her life her dream. She is prioritizing her wants, needs, and desires. And she's loving herself more than she's loving anyone else. And we need that energy. And it happens every year for about 4 weeks. But then on the 16th, she moves into her home sign of Taurus. And whenever she gets back to Taurus, she is just at home. Taurus is about luxury and our senses and when it smells good and tastes good and feels good. And like our relationships get a little bit more luxe and a little bit more pleasurable. And like we are just feeling so good when Venus is at home in Taurus. Now for the last couple of years, this hasn't been very fun because it's where Uranus is. Imagine owning a home and for a couple of years you tell your friend Uranus that he can live there with you, right? And you're traveling a lot and you're moving around the sky, but Uranus needs a place to live for about 7 years. And so you let him live with you. That's what Venus did in Taurus. Uranus came in, he's like, I'll be here for 7 years. Venus is like, that's great, I'm here for about 4 weeks out of the year and I'll be back next year. But every time she's been coming back to Taurus, her home sign, Uranus is there, and Uranus is the troublemaker. He's the rebel, he's the revolutionary, he likes to do things in unconventional ways, he lives outside of society's norms. So when Venus gets there, she's like, what is going on? Like you're redecorating every year, you're changing things up, you're rebelling, like you're doing things your own way. Like, why is my silverware not organized the way I left it? Because Uranus has been shaking up Taurus and shaking up that area of our life. And last year when she got to Taurus, we started having eclipses there. The North Node of Destiny showed up as well. So last year when she came home to Taurus, she found out her roommate, Uranus, the rebel, had like a toddler, right? Because eclipses are when you don't have as much free will. And when you got a toddler running around, you don't have a whole lot of free will. So Venus got home and she was like, oh, I expected Uranus, but now the eclipses too? Like, what the heck? And so she didn't really enjoy being there last year. This year she knew what to expect. We still have the North Node of Destiny there and we still have Uranus there, so she knows what to expect. And they've been making a lot of changes and adjustments in that area of our life. And so now we're kind of like, we've been shaken up, we've been liberating, we're stepping into more pleasure, more luxury in our life, like looking at our money, like all the things that Taurus rules. And so Venus is gonna come in and just beautify it. She's gonna make it a little bit more beautiful. Because next year when she comes back to Taurus, the eclipses will be gone. The toddler, that is blocking your free will be out of there, even though Uranus is still there, but that's okay because she knew he would be there for a while. So again, it's just gonna feel a little bit more beautiful in our relationships and our love life and our money and all those things. So that happens on the 16th. 17th is the day the sun actually runs into Mercury, like that's the official Cazimi day, so that's the day you really want to be careful with your words, but like I said, Venus moved into Taurus, so like just make sure those words don't affect your relationships because you have an opportunity for this period to really enjoy some luxury in your life. Then we get to the 19th. Now that is leading up to the Astrological New Year on the 20th. So this is New Year's Eve on the 19th of March. And that is when Mercury leaves Pisces and moves into Aries. So now we have Aries, area of our life, getting another planet. So let's stop and pause right here because the 19th is the moment that Aries, that area of our life that we talked about at the beginning of this video, really starts ramping up. So let's break it down for a minute. Let's talk about what's been going on and what's going to happen on the 19th moving into the Astrological New Year. Our area of life ruled by Aries has already been given attention since December 20th of 2022. And that is because on that day, Jupiter moved into Aries, bringing blessing, expansion, growth, prosperity, luck, abundance, Jupiter's the opening act of this Aries area of our life, which is great because he's going in and expanding and bringing in new opportunities and helping us kind of see, ooh, what is all possible here, right? Opening act. Then we had Venus moving into Aries, which we had at the beginning of the month, which we've already been feeling, where she comes in and brings more beauty, more pleasure, better relationships. Like she is bringing in like the good feelings. And they had the luckiest day of the year on March 1st together. So that Aries area of life has been blessed, has been brought in more pleasure, has been rearranged for us to kind of see all the possibilities, the magnetism, the attraction, all these things have already been happening. And now we get the third life coach, the third chapter to this story on the 19th with Mercury moving into Aries. Venus has moved out, Jupiter is holding down the fort, now Mercury comes in. So now our mind on this area of life ruled by Aries is going to change. Now Mercury comes in. Mercury's the messenger, so we're talking about this, we're investigating, we're learning, we're having conversations, we're gathering information on this area of life. And our mindset is starting to think about these things. Like our mind is here now. First it was Jupiter, just the expansion, the growth, the thought, the belief, the faith, the optimism, the hope that this area of life would change. It started to open up, started to get some blessings, some opportunities. Wow, didn't think that would happen. Jupiter hasn't been there in 12 years. So it's been 12 years since Jupiter kind of opened this area of our life. Venus has come in, had a magical day on the 1st, and now Mercury is here. So again, this is just the beginning of the next 5 to 7 year chapter. And on the 19th, as we go into the Astrological New Year Eve, our minds are here. Our conversations are here. And then we step in to March 20th, the Astrological New Year, where the sun moves out of Pisces and joins the party in Aries. So that's really exciting because like I said, wherever the sun is, it highlights, it brings heat, it brings vitality, it brings attention. It's like a spotlight raining down on that area of our life. And so now on the Astrological New Year, again, anytime a planet leaves Pisces and moves into Aries, it's a reset, it's a new beginning. And so on the Astrological New Year, when the sun moves into Aries on the spring solstice, this is a rebirthing of energy. It's like springtime, the flowers come out, it's a new beginning, everything is possible. Aries is the energy of a toddler under 7. And what does that child act like? It is bold, it is brave, it is fearless. It climbs to the top of the jungle gym, even though it's 10 times taller than it, right? It runs across the street to go after a ball without looking both ways for traffic. So it is direct. It knows what it wants. It goes for it without looking at the obstacles, without looking at the challenges. It just goes for its dreams, right? That's the energy we're going to start to feel as the sun brings in the heat. A little bit more brave, a little bit more fearless, stepping into our dreams with leadership, taking accountability, going first. Aries is the first zodiac sign, so it's not afraid to go first. It's not afraid to go into parts unknown, right? That's toddlers. Like they're not scared. They're just gonna start walking and opening every door. In addition to that, Aries is being a little selfish. And this is so important to understand because Aries prioritizes the self, its needs, wants, and desires. And as the sun moves here, it's going to highlight our need to focus on our own healing, to focus on our own dreams, to focus on us first. And I think as an astrologer and as an intuitive, this is what's needed in society. We've been so worried about people pleasing, what everyone else thinks, what I should do, what my mom said I should do, that we lose ourselves. And this Aries energy that we're going to be feeling for 5 years with all these planets here is going to force everyone to become a little bit more selfish. And let me give you a little piece of advice as a relational astrologer, that as people in your life become more selfish and they say no more than ever to you, honor that. Honor that. And in that space that relationship is leaving because they're not attending your events, they're not prioritizing you, that space is meant for you to fill with yourself, to do things more that you want to do, your own hobbies, your own desires, start the side hustle, like whatever it is that you want out of your life in this next chapter, in this next astrological year, you fill that space with you. And I think that's so important for all of us. So just pay attention to that energy. And again, wherever Aries falls in your birth chart, that area of life is starting to get a spotlight and an attention on that astrological new year. Not only that, in 2023, the Astrological New Year is so important this year because on that same day, well, shortly after, 20th into the 21st, depending on where you live, is going to be a new moon in Aries. So I will have a video for you, of course, on the new moon in Aries, but knowing that at that new moon, we have Jupiter, we have Mercury, we have the sun, and we have the moon all in Aries. So this is even more potent, this energy in this area of our life, and new moons are new beginnings. It is an opportunity for us to set a new intention, to start fresh, to really restart this area of our life in the way that we desire, in a selfish way, in a brave way, in a fearless way. And this is why I wanted to celebrate the Astrological New Year this year. That's why I'm throwing this event that I'm hosting here locally in Tampa. So if you are local, please come join us, because that entire event is designated to maximize this energy, to use it to our advantage, to launch us forward like that slingshot. On the 20th, we are going to start slingshotting our energy forward into our dreams, into our passions, into the things that we've not been able to step into out of fear. And it's been a long time coming. So we get to the 20th and the 21st, Astrological New Year, a big party, a big celebration, a new moon, setting new intentions. Something to understand about this new moon in Aries is it's going to be repeated next month. On April 20th, on 4/20, we're going to have a second new moon in Aries. So this one happens at 0 degrees of Aries. The second one will be at 29 degrees of Aries. And when we get to next month in April, at that second new moon in Aries, that is going to be an eclipse. So what that means now in 2023, the North Node of Destiny, the eclipses are going to start in Aries. And that's going to last us for 18 months. So that is adding to the next chapter of this story in Aries, in that area of your life that I was talking about earlier. That's going to last 5 to 7 years, because this year we start an eclipse cycle in Aries. North Node, North Star, Destiny, fated events, opportunities coming to you that you don't have to work hard for. They're already lined up in your path and they're coming to you in that Aries area of your life. And those eclipses begin in April. So this new moon is going to be an opportunity you got to work with. You got to set an intention. What do you want? What fated opportunities, what destiny do you want to step into? What do you want in that area of your life? We're not even done yet. We still got a lot of energy coming up. So let's continue on. On the 23rd of March, that is when our life coach Pluto, who has been in Capricorn for 15 years, an energy that we've gotten used to, is making his move. So on the 23rd, he is moving into the zodiac sign of Aquarius, where he has not been since 1777. Now, in the United States, we are going through a Pluto return. Pluto returns are indications where there is transformation. Just like we go through Saturn returns as humans, countries go through Pluto returns. And most countries crumble in their Pluto return because it's transformation. Everything is crumbling. Pluto rules over control, manipulation, ego, power struggles, like, again, bringing darkness to light, bringing skeletons out of the closet, and we're feeling that in the United States. The last time we felt this was during the revolution, when things had to crumble, things had to start over. So this is an energy, like I mentioned, no one alive has experienced before. So we're going to start that energy on the 23rd. Now, knowing that Aquarius rules innovation, technology, virtual reality, inventions, those are going to be things that are going to probably get highlighted. So we're going to start noticing like the darkness with the internet, things that like need to crumble and get restructured, things with virtual reality, the metaverse, like all these things that like are changing the way that we operate in society. Those are all things going to get restructured. So this is just the beginning. The thing with Pluto is it's so slow that we don't really notice it unless we're zoomed out and we're looking at the big picture. So this really won't be anything that you're really going to feel like right away, especially because in 2023, you have your retrograde journal. So you've seen this. Pluto is going to retrograde back into Capricorn. So this doesn't officially begin till next year, but it's like a preview and a highlight. So that's on the 23rd. Now we move on to the 25th. On the 25th, Mars, our masculine, who is ready to get the hell out of Gemini, is moving into Capricorn. This is that major energy shift because Mars is our chi and our stamina and our life force and like our vitality. And when he's in Gemini, we're like doing all the things, multitasking, doing this and that, left, right, up, down, researching everything, multiple projects. But he gets into Cancer. He doesn't particularly like being there because it's a water energy. Mars is fire, right? And so you get into Cancer and we kind of get watered down. And so it's kind of like swimming against the current. So we're trying to get a lot done. We're trying to be like Mars, left lane gas pedal, but it's raining really hard. And so we don't want to hydroplane. So we're having to go a little slower. Cancer loves to be at home. It's a little nostalgic. So we're kind of just like taking it a little easy and we're cooling off our jets. So it's going to feel good. It's kind of a little break because when Mars gets into Leo, that's when shit really hits the fan. That's going to happen like in about another month. So in like May. So that's Mars going into a fire energy. He has not been in a fire energy since Aries back in the spring of last year. So it's been almost a year since Mars has been in like power mode, in like warrior mode. And so again, if your energy has been a little sunk, it's okay because we'll get there in the summer. Take the cool off period with Mars in Cancer. Now let's see here. We are getting to the 28th. On the 28th, Mercury runs into Jupiter. That's the official day. An easy day. You know, remember Jupiter brings blessing, opportunity, prosperity. Mercury is the mind. So we're learning something, we're researching, we're having a conversation in this Aries area of our life. And so maybe you get some information that's going to help bless you after the Astrological New Year, after these new intentions you set at the new moon in Aries on the 21st. So this might be like a blessed opportunity, a conversation, and information that you gather that is going to bring some more abundance into your life. And then we end the month on the 30th with Venus in Taurus. Remember, she's in her home sign. She's going to run into Uranus, her roommate. So that's kind of when they come head to head. Uranus, again, is all about liberation, freedom, rebellion, being unconventional, doing things in his own unique way. And Venus is what we love, who we love, how we love, the things that we love in our life. And so at the end of the month, you might have something unconventional in your relationship. You might be a little rebellious. You might try something new that's out of your comfort zone. That might be a really fun day to kind of get outside your box and to try something new. You got all this fiery, passionate Aries energy, taking risks, being bold, and what you love and who you love and your relationships are running into Uranus a little rebellious. So that's gonna be a spicy, fun, hot day. So I would definitely work with that energy. And that leads us to the end of the month. So lots of shifts, lots of changes, lots of things to work with. And if you haven't gotten your copy of the 2023 Astrology Retrograde Journal, definitely make sure you grab one in the description box below because the energy is just about to get started for this year. March, there's so much going on. We haven't started retrograde season yet. So in this journal, I give you journal prompts for every retrograde, every sun season, every new, every full moon, along with moon rituals, the crystals, the herbs, the chakras that you can use. I talk about every single sun season. I give you a bucket list for every sun season so that you can embrace that energy. And if you're new to astrology, this is a great way for you to understand the zodiac signs, the planets, what happens during new and full moons and every single zodiac sign. So just so much energy. So much information, part educational, part interactive, where you can fill out the journal prompts, reflect back into what you were feeling during all of these major astro weather events, and so much more. Make sure you subscribe so you get notified right away when my full moon in Virgo video comes out in a couple days, which is, again, the same day that Saturn moves into Pisces. So until then, go back and watch the Saturn and Pisces video that I did. And if you're going through your Saturn return in Pisces, you will get a separate video breaking down all the lessons you're going to learn and how to prepare for your Saturn return. And of course, I will have so many more videos coming up about the Astrological New Year and the retrogrades and all the things to come. But until then, you can follow me over at TikTok at The Relational Astrologer, where I break down the astrology in more shorter form videos specific to relationships and how to have better relationships. You can get updates and join our Holistic Soul Sister community on Instagram at holistic.soul.sisters, where I use it as our community bulletin board to notify you when there's new videos, new podcast episodes, new workshops, and other events happening within our communities. So I'm going to send you so much love and light for the month of March. I can't wait to hear how your energy shifts, how your life changes this month. So please come back and let me know or message me on Instagram and tell me how this month treats you.